Hey guys, it's Morgan here at Goldshop Farm. A lot of you have been asking me about our massive old Vermont barn that we have here at the farm, and decided to try to make a quick video to give you a tour and tell you about some of the things that we're thinking about regarding our plans for the future for it. So here it is. Here is our barn. And by the way, there's our barn cat right there. So the barn was built somewhere in the neighborhood of 1890 to 1900. I have a picture of the barn that shows it actually in 1900, so I know it's at least as old as that. So the barn is massive. It's 3 stories. It's about 12,000 square feet of indoor space when you put it all together. So the barn used to be connected to the house, and actually you can still see the foundation here from where it was connected. We disconnected it for a number of reasons, some of them having to do with insurance, some of them having to do with the plans that we had for the renovation of the house. The barn was primarily used as a dairy barn. As you actually kind of look around here, you can actually see this is where the milk cooler used to be. So you can even see the old refrigeration equipment in here, and you can even see kind of the cellar that they used to use to keep things cool in. You can see the old refrigeration coils. So through the backside, you actually had horse stalls and stables. So this is where they keep their horses. You can see them all down here. Maybe some other animals too here and there. A lot of this part is kind of collapsed in and, you know, is in real disrepair. There's ancient straw and hay from God knows how long. This is where we actually have our barn cat living. Say hi to the people, Pablo. Hey, buddy. And then this side was where they would actually dump the manure. So if you look up here, you can actually see it. Sort of, they've done some renovations in the last couple of years that sort of prevents it from opening up, but there used to be hatches that could just drop the manure down from the second floor, and then they keep it down here. You can actually see over here, all the way in the back, ancient petrified cow poop that probably is older than me. The back corner of the building, so remember a 3-story, 12,000 square foot building, is supported almost entirely on this big rock in the back here. When we took down the portion that connected the house and the barn, we were actually left with a lot of wood. We used some of the wood actually in our renovation of the house. We still have a couple pieces still here. You'll notice though, it's that cool hand-hewn beam. You know, you look at it, I just don't quite make stuff like this anymore. Got a couple more stored over here. Trying to do my best to keep them out of the moisture and the wetness, but it's hard because they're so big. I think someday I actually dream of trying to make these into like a dining room table or something. So let's go upstairs to the second floor where they used to keep the cows. Now this is where they would keep the cows. So the way this would work is they would store the hay up in the 3rd floor. So hay storage would be up here. And we'll go up to the top of the 3rd floor up there in a couple minutes. But they'd store all the hay here, and then they'd shuffle it across the way here into these trenches. So they put them all through these trenches. And then, so they'd keep the cows in here. They would feed them. Cows would stick their heads right through the slats. They'd eat the hay. They could milk them. And then all the cow poop would go through this trench here. And then they could drop it down below like I showed you earlier. They even had a watering system. You can see it. Like, so here's the piping for the watering system. Here's one of the old waterers. Look in there, see? And this is basically how they would keep their cows. And so there actually used to be a ramp that they would walk the cows up, probably on a regular, probably daily basis from the pasture, and bring them in. Look at Pablo. I swear to God, look at him. He is a barn cat, but he is the friendliest, most playful cat I think I've ever seen. I mean, look at him rolling around in cow crap from 30 years ago and just having a good old time. It's always amazing the stuff that I find in here. Like this old soda bottle from a soda company in Hardwick, Vermont. You know, I feel like an Antique Roadshow could have a great day just wandering around here. As you can kind of see here, the stairs to the third floor have collapsed. So you really actually can't, unless you use this old rickety ladder, get from the second floor to the third floor very easily at this point. But let me walk around and I'll show you the third floor. So there it is in all its glory. This barn is what's known as a bank barn. It means it has a ramp that goes up the back. So again, it made it easy to bring cows or hay up. It's something that's very common in Vermont and New England barns. You don't see it a lot in other places, but they have a ton of them around here, especially in our town. And yeah, it's pretty epic. Just this whole space, you know, it's incredible. Especially up this top third part. You know, it's got these hay silos that are falling apart. This is falling apart. It needs a new roof. But that said, you know, like the cliche goes, it's got great bones. So you'll notice they're cut in some pretty weird ways, like especially that rafter right over there. See this one? The theory is that they cut them that way so that they could actually roll a full hay wagon up the ramp and in. So rather than having to load the hay from outside, they could roll the wagon right up to bring all the hay in. And then out back here, you can see this is where the pasture starts. And it's actually where the silvo pasture starts. You see those rows going up there. I'll give you guys a tour of that in another video though. So now I know you're saying, Morgan, this is a great tour of the barn, it's an awesome place, but it's falling apart. What are you gonna do about it? And the answer is, I'm just not sure. It's an awesome structure, but I'm concerned that my ability to use it for the various agricultural enterprises that I have planned is going to make it very impractical. I might be better off just starting fresh. That's sort of tricky though, because then, you know, that in and of itself is a whole bunch of costs. I have been talking to a guy who lives not too far from here, who's got a ton of experience with old barns like this, and he has a plan where what we would do is we would actually pour a concrete foundation on the first floor. We would pull out all the wood and all the stuff on the second floor to open it up. That way it gives it it's sort of more space down below for storage, like large equipment like tractors and that sort of thing. It just gives a little bit more freedom in terms of how we use it, and it becomes less costly to restore, so you're pulling a lot of wood out. And then the third floor we actually just cover up entirely, so it's just one big open space, and I can use it as hay storage, I can use it as a workshop, I can use it for a whole bunch of other things. And so I think that might be what we end up doing. It's kind of a pricey proposal in and of itself, but it actually looks like it might be just a little bit cheaper than, you know, knocking the sucker down, you know, getting rid of all the material and starting with a new building. And also I will say, I know because people are also wondering this, why don't you just you know, try to sell all the wood? So the challenge is the wood isn't as valuable as you might think. The market for barn wood is one where, you know, hand-hewn beams are really valuable. And then as they think about it, the labor that it takes to take apart the building and where the building is located is also a factor. And because we're in such a remote area, and because it's actually such a big structure that you need to get massive equipment to really pull it apart piece by piece, and then it ultimately leaves you with a ton of lumber, and some of it not nearly as valuable as they might like. It's actually been hard to find somebody to pull it apart for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it gave you a better sense of what we got going on and hope to make more videos like this in the future and keep showing what's going on here at Goldstraw Farm. Talk to you later, guys.